Hello, everyone. Two people just joining, two people who have been waiting, and to everyone watching things back on the VOD, whether it's here on Twitch or on YouTube, depending on when you're watching this. Hello, welcome to another stream, and it is Game Dev Sunday once again. So the last few Game Dev streams, we've been focusing less on the programming and less on building things within Unreal. We've been focusing on doing some stuff within Blender, namely the models for the fruits, rigging the, or properly, like weight painting the player character, UV unwrapping to get textures and whatnot for the player character sorted, and sort of learning that as we went along. And the result of that, depending on how long, the result of that was having the player character somewhat textured. It's not fully textured, because this is just like base color block out at the moment, and I intend on adding more of the details and the shading and whatever later down the line. However, for the time being, this does work. It does help to visualize the character. So, and also visualize the collectibles as well, which, you know, is good stuff. I'm pretty happy with that. Anyway, where's my water? Because I forgot I put it in my bag. Right. Okay, so the thing I want to highlight now that we will be focusing this whole stream on is to do with the save system in general. Now, if you can remember, then that's good, but if not, I will go through things again, because, you know, we may as well sort of go into the background of whatever the hell we're getting on with. So, if you remember, we have our main menu here. Like, we have our start button, we have our load button, and if we're on the start button, then we can be like, oh, if we click on the slot that's already saved, if there's a save data or save game already existing in the slot, we can overwrite it, start a new game, or we could just click on, like, one of the empty slots and create a save game that way, and so on and so forth. And then if we wanted to just, you know, load that, then we can, which is, I think, pretty good. At the moment, if we go into the code, also there's still some issues with the main menu which I need to sort out, though it's difficult to kind of trace, honestly. It does say where it is, but for whatever reason, it is kind of a bit of a hassle to sort out, but we will get that sorted eventually, because I feel like if left in an actual build, then it would most likely cause the game to crash, because it will just force stop it. But yes, if we go into the player controller, and we wait for Rider to open up, because, I hadn't opened Rider yet, sadly. Bit of poor form on my part. But yes, we'll get to what this is here in a moment. So, temp save is bound to currently the 2 key, which in the enhanced input is the test save action. So when we press that action, we're only testing this at the moment. We're doing, oh hey, we're just saving the game, but at the moment, it's only saving to slot 1, because this accepts an F string for a slot name, but at the moment, since I'm just calling this like this, and we're not like doing anything magical to get the current slot name like out of thin air, then this is only going to be saving to the first slot. So, what do I mean by this? Well, if I go back into the engine, I go back into the main menu, and I click start in a new slot, right here, we're in slot 2 now, la-di-da-di-da. If we quit, and of course get this error again, this is going to get on my nerves a lot. If we click load, we don't have that there, because we were unable to properly, I guess, it's essentially impossible to just, like, save the whole slot. We can't, like, do anything there, because, like, even if we start on slot 2, and we run up here, and I press 2 to overwrite the game data, because, as I've pointed out, pressing 2, which is bound to the test save action, calls temp save. And because of that, it's calling save the game, which is our method that we're currently using from the player controller to test this, with the slot 1 name being passed in, or slot 1 text being passed as a parameter. That's just going to save to slot 1. So even though we made a, we started a new game through the second slot. Oh, whoops. Because of how things are working at the moment, if we go into slot 1, we're just loaded here, like, where we just saved on slot 2, and slot 2 just kind of doesn't exist at the moment, which is kind of, it's a bit annoying, because what we want to be able to do, like, so I'm going to also illustrate my thought process on this, because there is, like, some important bits that we need to kind of go over. So also, ignore, like, the drawing reference stuff. I was doing, like, my art practices and whatnot. Anyway, where is... There we go. Right. This side should be fine. Right. So, at the moment, we have our main menu. And when... And then we have our save slots within that main menu. At the moment... I need to refresh my memory on a thing as well within part of the main menu code, because there are elements that I have likely forgotten. Just a moment. And that's natural. So, widgets, this lot button. Let me think. Okay, also, it probably doesn't help the fact that, Let me think. Okay, no, right. Okay, I've got my thoughts in my head now. Right, so... Say, for example, slot 1 is pressed, so press slot 1. Like, I definitely feel like there's parts of the things that I'm missing. Or that I had missed when I was building it the first time around. But anyway, the point I'm trying to illustrate is that while we have one side of the save system with, like, doing stuff on the main menu, we don't have anything during gameplay. And unless we have a save slot menu in the pause menu to basically say, oh, click save, choose the slot you want to save it to, and then, oh hey, this is being saved to this slot, call this method with this slot name or whatnot. And that's fine and all. However, one of the key things that we have to consider is, at the moment, that method exists within the player controller, and if we were trying to save from, like... I mean, if we were even implementing it in this way, if we were using a save slot menu within a pause menu, we would have to make a reference to that player controller, and that may not necessarily exist. Like, I know in this case, the player controller will exist in that state, but if we somehow just decided to swap out for another player controller, for example, and we still try and call a function that doesn't exist on the player controller, or cast it to a different, like, that player controller to the one that we're currently using, we would not be able to do anything with it. So at the moment, if we were to try and do it that way, if we were using a save slot menu with a pause menu, it would rely too heavily on the existence of a specific thing. And I know that we could use an interface, and that does work. However, there's still the matter of, oh, we just need to search for all objects and check if each object implements this interface, and if it does, then call this method and whatnot, and that's not ideal. Also, I do need to quickly, because it's been a while, and I quickly do need to go to the bathroom, so I will be right back. I also need to let my thoughts stew a little bit, so I'll be right back in a few moments, chat. Hang tight. Right, okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, chat. Gonna have to wait for the time being for that. Anyway, in terms of, well, in the case of the project, there's a possibility that I don't include a save slot menu. Hold on a moment. Oh yeah, no. There's a possibility that I choose not to implement a save slot menu within the pause menu, because if we're looking at games from around that era, not too many of them had, like, you know, oh, save and then you save to the slot within the menu. A lot of them just handled it by just doing autosave, or... Yeah, no, it would have been handled like be autosave and whatnot. So, for example, if we look at Spyro, like any of the Spyro games, or in my little example, we're gonna use Spyro 3 because, you know, I'm biased. Spyro 3, it was essentially autosave. Autosave, except not really. Save occurs when entering / leaving level. But also when coming across Zoe. And for people who don't know, like, in the context of Spyro, Zoe is a fairy, and whenever you run into her, she would save your game. Or she would save a checkpoint in a level, but she would also basically save your game at the same time. So she would save your current position within that level at the very least while that instance of the game was running. So if you were to turn the game off and turn it back on and load back into that level, you just load back at the beginning. Though, for all intents and purposes, if you were to die in that level, and you didn't lose all your lives, you still had lives left, or lives remaining, you would essentially just reappear in that position where you had run into Zoe. But anyway, so save would only occur when entering / leaving a level, but also when coming across Zoe. It would also happen when you moved across hub worlds as well, though we're not concerned about hub worlds and whatnot yet. We will get there. But at the moment, so hub worlds are a later priority. Or hub world bracket, because we may have like multiple little hub worlds, or we may just have a single like continuous one, much like Super Mario 64, or a quote-unquote continuous one that is divided into like different sub-levels like in Banjo-Kazooie. Or we could just take the Spyro approach and have multiple little hub worlds with like their own set of collectibles and their own set of levels and whatnot. But essentially, what Spyro 3 had was autosave, except it really wasn't autosave, because saving, as I said, would only occur when you enter / leave a level, but also when you come across Zoe, who would save your checkpoint while you were in that level, while the game was running, but also saving the game at the same time. Though this would also essentially happen whenever you moved between hub worlds too, because that essentially counts as entering / exiting a level. Now, there is a way to be able to do this properly, and I think things just became available, so I'm going to be right back. Just a few moments, chat. I'll be back soon. Okay, we're all sorted. I needed that. Right, anyway. So, in terms of the saving itself, or keeping track of the slot names, and all the other factors that we need to consider, there was one thing that I had considered originally before looking into things a bit more. The thing I was going to consider was having an object. So, have object remain in persistent level. And store slot name there. This was the original thing I'd considered. However, while this could theoretically work, at the same time, we're still essentially relying on a specific thing existing in order to be able to do a thing, and that's not really good practice for code and whatnot. So this, of course, would not work at all. So this is not what we want to do in the slightest. However, there is a thing that can be done, which we've already had a little peek when I was loading up Rider, but I'll explain things a bit more. Those things in particular, they are subsystems. And if we go into Rider, and for example, we go up to, where is begin play? Because begin play helps me illustrate this. Alright, yeah, there we go. So there is these things called subsystems. Subsystems can exist for a good number of different things. There is one for the enhanced input for the local player, and this is essentially exists basically throughout the game's runtime. So if things ever need to be like done during runtime, then we can sort of get it by doing what we do within begin play. However, not only are there like some subsystems built into Unreal, you can make your own custom subsystem, inheriting from the EU game instance subsystem, because that is... Hold on, let me think. I want to go to the definition of this. So declaration. Yeah, right. So this inherits from the local player subsystem. It shares the lifetime of local players. That's what that does. For game instance subsystem, if I go to declaration, which inherits just from subsystem, this essentially shares the lifetime of the game instance. This, as I said, this runs basically during the game's lifetime and so on and so forth. Now, I set this up the other day when I was doing some little bits, when I was fixing some things, because as it turns out, there were one or two little hitches with the save system, or the main menu save system as it was, or just the save system that I was testing, that, actually just, funnily enough, there were things that weren't working or causing it to have any issues. So yeah, I fixed those, but yeah, detour, a little tangent aside, when I was doing that, or after I did that, I was looking into making a subsystem specifically for saving data, and there are a good few tutorials out there that allow you to accomplish this. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the grand old thing of learning as we go along, because I would have done proper research into this, but I've been very busy the past few days. So what we're going to be doing, for the most part of this stream, is working on the subsystem. However, while the subsystem itself may be like an option, there is also using just regular game instance as well. So we may not necessarily use right. 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 Okay, so right, we're also going to be considering using the game instance because there's like subsystems and the game instance itself both essentially persist within the game's lifetime. And right, so if we go into data, oh, that's wait, where? Hold on, in Rider, if we go into Rider, because there is a thing I'm confused about, save. It's within the Subsystems folder, so why doesn't the Subsystems folder exist in the engine? Public. Oh wait, I have an idea. I think I know why. It might be because I haven't properly compiled things since I made the subsystem class. So I'm going to close the engine quickly, and we're going to compile things. Compile and run. Silly me that I genuinely kind of forgot about that. But yeah, you know, sometimes we forget. We forget in this house on occasion. Not exactly the best thing to happen, but it happens often enough. Right. That worked. That did compile properly. Okay, so now if I go into the engine, yep, there we go. I'm gonna put this in data, because I feel like it would work best there. So if we go into game instance, yep, there we go. Whoops. If I go back onto the where did I close YouTube on my phone? I did just close YouTube on my phone. Brilliant. Ugh. Mobile event. Right. And we're gonna call this pp underscore game instance. We're not gonna recompile the code. We're just gonna go back into Rider, and it should be within data. Yep, there we go. Right, it's within the data. Cool. So now that we've done that, I'm gonna close the engine. I'm gonna close the subsystem for the time being, because maybe we go for this approach after all. Maybe we just go for the come on brain, the game instance. What is wrong? So maybe we go for the game instance in this instance. Didn't mean for that. Right. Right, so one of the things you do is, I'm assuming, I don't know if this is like public or protected, so public, protected, private, public. Right, I'm gonna go into the base class, so if I go into the declaration of usages, so where is, right, virtual void, is this public? Yeah, this is public. Right, so engine API virtual void init. So right here, we will override init, and this is essentially, we definitely need this. As I know I've said in the past that depending on like what we're overriding, where we're overriding it in, and you know, like what we need it to do, we don't necessarily need to include the super function calls. However, in this instance, because of what we're trying to do, we definitely do need to call super for init with this function override, because otherwise this just won't work at all. So we do need this here in this instance. So this just exists here. This will just exist here. And when this object is initialized or created, this is just cool. And I don't know if I'm going to make this protected or private. I'm going to make this a private, so I'm going to forward declare it as well. So we're going to get class UTP use you game save data, not gave. You gave this, you gave that. You game save data, which is essentially the custom class that we made to store our data, which is right here in the public folder and also, or the private folder and also here in the public folder. I'm gonna make a you game save data pointer, and this is just gonna be called game save data. Still sticking to my naming conventions, which is camel case. That's what it is. And what do I mean by that? Essentially, in terms of like naming conventions for variables, there's two ways. There's snake case, whereas you have say product underscore name. That's snake case where you have like an underscore, and then camel case is where you start off with a lowercase. So for example, player, and then for any subsequent words you make it uppercase. So players, for example, health, and that's what I mean when I say camel case, because like you have like the little hump as it goes up. Okay, now I'm confused. Now I'm confused. Like, because I'm looking at this tutorial. While it does like work, I don't know if this would be good for like what I'm trying to do. So save subsystem Unreal. Right, I'll just follow the tutorial I originally found for the subsystem. Okay, right. So I need a public. So we're gonna so instead we're gonna work with the subsystem as I was originally going to do. So public, protected, private, public, because that's what I always do. We need a we need a subsystem, so we need our constructor. So initialize, which is necessary for initializing our subsystem. This will override from the base declaration, which is, I believe, in... Oh, wait. Go to declaration, which is in subsystem.h. And then we're going to have down here, view function, blueprint callable. And then we're going to put, we may as well just throw this in a category. So category, save system. And then this function, this is going to be a void. We're not like returning anything. We're not expecting to like pass in something and then get another thing out of it. We're just making it a void. Create new save data. And we're essentially using this to create our save game. So going to create our definition there. I'm going to have a U. Oh, wait, whoops. I did not mean to do that. U function. Blueprint. Oh, wait, blueprint callable. Oh, whoops. Category, and again, this will go into the save system category. So save system, and this will also be a void. This will be load save game, and this simply put will just be used to load our save game. Okay, right. Right. Right, following along with this is taking time. Okay, so in terms of like creating our new save data, so we're gonna have okay, hold on. The object pointer. Right. Okay. We also need hold on. Blueprint, yeah, so U property, blueprint read only, category, and again, this will be in the save system. And then we're gonna have this be a T object pointer. Of type, and we're gonna need to forward declare things. So class U game save data. U game save data, and this is just going to be called recently accessed save. So this will be recently accessed save, and simply put, this is the one that we've recently accessed, whether or not we've like just made the save or if we've loaded onto it or anything like that. That's essentially what this variable is. So that's what we need. So in the event that we are creating the new save, we're going to say recently access save is going to be equal to, so we're going to cast to U game save data, and of course that will include the H file for it from the subsystems. Wait, no, from the data file folder. And we're going to say U gameplay statics, and of course we need to include that as well. We're going to get U gameplay statics, create new, create save game object, and we also use this when we, hold on, if we go down to where temp save is and, yep, save the game, create save game object. So U gameplay statics, create a save game object, and in here we use the save game class itself. But because we're not like setting, we can't exactly set a thing on the subsystem, I believe. We essentially have to, one, get the static class from the U game save data thing, and two, we have to cast it to that type in order for it to actually be able to function as that type. So recently access saved is set to this if this is successful. So if recently access save and now I believe I could also do what we do in here. And where is F string, right? F string slot name. And of course I need to do this within the H file as well. So F string slot name, so we avoid having any errors at all. There we go. So if this works, and then whatever else, say, like, if we need to use a default level name, then we can, or if we need to, like, do anything else with the data that we have, then we can do that. However, at the moment, we don't necessarily need to. So Alright, that is a... So this is a new thing that we have to use. Okay, right. So, what we do now is, because this has been successfully made, and we're not doing anything else with, you know, this, like, newly created save data, we're going to first make a delegate, or make a container for a delegate, or an async save game 2-slot delegate. And what this essentially does is, when we save or load asynchronously, so rather than, like, have things happen at the same time as, like, saving or loading, we have it, like, save or load before anything else happens. So this will be saving delegate. And then we have saving delegate dot bind uObject. And now this is where I realized that there is something that I'm missing from the thing that I'm following. Right. So there is a thing that I'm missing. There are two things that I'm missing from earlier that I feel like I should definitely make sure that I have. So we also need to declare some dynamic multicast delegates. So declare underscore dynamic multicast delegate. Hold on, I might be wrong. Wait, am I right or am I wrong? I can't tell. Oh wait, no, it's own. All right, no, this is all right. I'm silly. Right, I'm just finding this out now. Anyway, what we want to do is that we need another method, for handling when the saving is completed, and this is going to be protected. So this is going to be ufunction. This needs to have this so we can actually bind it to, or use it within that bind uObject thing, because otherwise it isn't detected, it isn't able to be used there, as that is essentially how Unreal works with those kind of things. So handle create new save completed, and we want a couple of parameters here. Oh wait, this is supposed to be void. We need a few parameters. We need const f string reference slot name. So we need the slot name, const int 32 user index. Oh, ad break starting. Right, I will be back in a few moments, chat, and we'll continue going through this. And we're back, and that's a new one that got around the thing. I also need to remove the sign. Whoops. Right. Anyway. I think they're starting to get smart. That's not good. Right. So, we need these 3 parameters wait, I forgot the last parameter. There needs to be a third. That third parameter needs to be bool be success. And the reason why this function needs to have these 3 parameters is because in order to bind to this, we need to have like the saving delegate takes an F string, an int32, and also takes a boolean, and this corresponds to these 3 parameters right here. And of course we need to use this because we need the object that it's being bound to. So the in-user object, and then we need the variable here, so it's going to be utp underscore save subsystem, and we're going to handle create new save completed, and that's bound there. Then we're going to say gameplay statics, and as I said, this is essentially used when we're saving or loading asynchronously, and if we want to actually, you know, use this, then we're going to do async save game to slot. So we're going to take the object that we just made, so recently accessed saved, or recently accessed save, slot name, so the name of our slot. I'm going to say 0 because our user index is going to be 0. And then we're going to use our saving delegate, which will essentially, once this is done, pull that method that is bound to this. So that essentially does that. Otherwise, we want to say else. Like, if we don't, like, oh, wait, I accidentally pressed insert. The override, like, cursor is annoying. If this isn't successful, we don't have anything to essentially say, oh, creating this is false at the moment. We don't have the multicast delegates to do that right now, but we will have that sorted in a moment. And that shouldn't take too long. That shouldn't take too long whatsoever. But, yes. So that's, at least for the most part, saving. In terms of the actual, like, handle create new save completed, we don't have that ready yet. So we want 2 branches. We want either whether or not it was successful, and if it wasn't successful, oh wait, whoops, that's not what I meant. Else. So we have if be success, so if it was successful in creating the save, if it was successful in, like, successfully completing the creation of a new save, and also, like, this other branch, else if this isn't successful. So if it does, we want to broadcast to delegate, say, stating save was successful. Otherwise, broadcast to delegate stating save was unsuccessful. Now, we have the load save game method as well. Right. Let me think. Right. I'm also going to adjust this function to also include the slot name. So f string slot name. And while it may load, like, make the slot button available on the main menu, it's best to have this be another check just in case. Oh, what if this is deleted while the game is running? This doesn't exist anymore. So it's always good to have this. So I'm gonna say so if so I'm gonna make a variable here. I'm gonna call it a U game save data, or it's gonna be a U game save data. I don't know if this is going to be a T object pointer. I think it should be. So either that or we use recently accessed saved. I will recently accessed saved. I'm not sure. Right. I am trying to wrap my head around the thing. Right. So load save game. So T object pointer. It could be a T object pointer review game save data. Wait. My brain, hold on, my brain is kind of having a moment. I don't like when this happens. Come on, let me think. The dinging from the song doesn't help. Right. Okay, I guess it's going to say, yep, not used. So if you gameplay statics, we're going to check if this slot exists. So does save game exist? We're going to pass in the slot name and user index of 0. Now I'm gonna go into the player controller. Where is save the game? Where is load the game? Yep. I'm lost. Ah, right. Loaded game equals cast to U game save data, and we're going to use U gameplay statics async load game from slot. We're going to take the slot name. But to be fair, now that I think about it, I don't... Wait, so... I don't need that. I need... recently accessed save. I'm going to say recently accessed save. And we're going to take slot name. I'm going to say user index 0. And then we also need an F async load game from slot delegate. So what we need is another delegate. So let's say F async load game from slot delegate, loaded or loading delegate. And then once again, loading delegate dot bind U object. Oh, thank you for that, heater. Somehow the bots found a way around the bloody things that you set before, and that's crazy. Viewers on. Now, they always just use new characters. Alright, so it's not them somehow just becoming smarter. Which, to be fair, is, at the very least, good. But then sometimes we catch them with the block terms, but not always. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. So we need to bind a U object again. And we need, of course, this, but then we need also a method that takes a F string, so an F string for the slot name, and in for the user, for the user index, a U save game for the save game that is loaded. So we need to make this a U function, as of course, just like the other one, and this is going to be void handle load save game completed. And as I said, this is going to take a const f string reference like the other one. So slot name, const int 32 for the user index, and a U save game. And I'm going to say forward declare this as well, so I don't have to use or include the H file there. So U save game. So U save game pointer loaded game data. We're gonna make the definition and then we're going to say UTP save subsystem, handle save, load save game completed. And then here in async load game from slot, we just need to throw in our loading delegate. I think. Wait, I might have done this wrong. So it was slot name. Wait. Hold on. Right. Let's go over this again. So async load game from slot takes an F string, user index, async load game from slot, load game from slot delegate. Yeah, I did that. Right. So slot name 0 and then loaded delegate, which is our loading delegate. So what am I doing wrong here? So uGameplay statics. No viable function. Conversion of first argument. Slot name isn't important. Cannot convert void to parameter type. What do you? Right. Right. Let's take this out of here. Unless I do you save game pointer cannot initialize local game. Does async load game for slot not? Oh, it's a void. Right. Okay. Okay, I'm learning things. Whoops, right. So I think here now I just say you gameplay statics, and then we do async load game from slot, and then we'll do what we were just doing before, but we were trying to assign it to a thing when really it doesn't do that. So 0 loading delegate. So here in the handle load save game completed, because this is called when the asynchronous load ends, first we want to check if the loaded game data is, you know, populated, if it exists, if it's not null. So if loaded game data equals null pointer, we want to do so broadcast failure of save load and then return. Otherwise, if we make it past this, we say recently access save equals cast to type u game save data and we just take loaded game data. And then that allows it to save it to the subsystem. Right. Brain. So, now that we've done that, and then at the bottom, after this happens, we want to, so say, broadcast successful bot if it's right, they're gone. Cool. So broadcast successful load of game save. Right. Okay. So as I said, there are things that I am currently missing from this code. Also needing to reorganize things near my feet because it's kind of getting a bit tangled up with wires and stuff, which is not good. Never helpful. So, I'm going to go back into the H file. We're going to back, and above the 4 declarations, we're going to declare dynamic multicast delegate, and we want this to be 1 param. So 1 param, it's going to be of type save subsystem save game created, and then so that's our delegate name. We then need a type for the 1 param that we're using, boolean, of course, as we know, and then we just need to say be success. And that's essentially all for, like, not just this delegate, but the other one too, so we may as well duplicate this line. And we're just going to call this F save subsystem save game loaded, and of course this will also have success. We'll go back into the code. Oh wait, no. I need to actually make variables for these delegates as well, so we can actually broadcast whatever's bound to them. So underneath create new save data, we're going to do a U property, blueprint assignable, blueprint callable, and then of course category save system. And that means we can bind to it and assign things to it and have it assigned within like blueprint code rather than just restricting it to just the C++. We're going to get an F save subsystem save game created delegate variable, and this is just going to be called save game created completed. And then we essentially do the same under the load save game method or function for loading it. So F save subsystem save game loaded, save game load completed, And now we go back into the code. Now we go back into the code, because here in handle create new save game completed, we want to say that this save was successful. So we want to say save game created completed dot broadcast, and we're true. And then here we want to essentially do the same. So save game created completed dot broadcast, and then we pass in false. And what this essentially does, for people who don't know, and that's most likely, when you bind an object to a multicast delegate, whenever you call broadcast on that delegate, anything that's bound to it will like have whatever implementation or method that's bound to that delegate called, also taking in like any parameters that are needed. So say, for example, on one object we had an object, or on one object we had a method that is called whenever like this is broadcasted, and it does a different thing depending on whether or not it's true or false. So for example, say we hide or we reveal a thing, and based on whether or not the save was successful, we just say, oh, we hide this, we show this thing if it's true, and we show this thing if it's false, for example. I know that's not necessarily a good example, but it's kind of difficult to explain on the fly. So save game load completed dot broadcast. We're essentially doing the save down here, but and then yeah. So save game load completed dot broadcast true. Right. Right. So I believe in terms of like underlying like subsystem stuff, that is it. I don't know. I should probably actually also in the initialize make sure that things are being initialized. So UE underscore log temp warning, and we're just going to have a simple text thing printed saying save subsystem initialized. And I know that I'm also going to have an additional method in here for actually saving game data, but I can sort that out like just like in a few moments. I'm just making sure that this is working in the first place, and if it's not, then we can sort of go through, see what's going on, take a peek beneath like everything with the code, and then work things out from there. Sorry about that, chat. And also everyone watching things back, I'm not forgetting about you. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're going to compile. If it throws an error, we're going to know exactly what it is. Or we don't know exactly what it is, but we should be able to find out what it is, you know, fairly quickly. Oh, wait, shit, I was, So here, I forgot to say, save game created completed dot broadcast, and we need to say that we failed. Like if we aren't able to actually populate this variable, then we just, you know, broadcast this as false. I forgot about that. And then in load save games, Right. Where is my thing? Right, there we go. We're gonna go Molten Crater now, because Cloud Spires is done. For music. Otherwise, if this doesn't exist, we're just gonna say load a game or save game load completed dot broadcast false. And now we're going to compile, because now we have those bits there. It was important to make sure that those bits were there for the system. Right. Now, hopefully, this doesn't take too long. Right. It worked. Right, we don't have any errors. Cool. Cool. Right. Now, I don't know if this will happen, like, even in the gameplay scene. We're just gonna see what happens. Right, I can't tell. Okay, nothing. Oh, wait, no, it is. There it is. Save subsystem initialize. Right. Okay, so since we created that subsystem, we don't have to do anything anywhere. Like, we don't have to make, like, a blueprint version of it. We don't need to, like, adjust any settings and say, oh, we need to have this thing happen, or have this thing created, like, because of this. It simply just kind of, you know, exists now. It essentially just, you know, as soon as the game is launched in any scene, in any way, shape, or form, it will just basically do that. And the neat thing is that there's no need to, say, for example, hold on a moment, I need to gather my thoughts. Right, let's go to the main menu first. I don't know why we need to go here to, like, do a thing specifically, because I want to check the widgets. So, for example, if we go into the save slot button, for example, go into the graph, and if we're, say, if we're loading, false, call on slot button clicked, and if you remember, on slot button clicked was a thing that was is an event dispatcher that we have access to, and if we go into the save slot menu, that is bound to bind event to on slot button clicked. And at the moment, all this does is open a level. This doesn't, like, create a save slot or anything. This doesn't create data to be saved within that slot. This just opens the level. What we can do is, if we wanted to just create the saves, if we wanted to create the slot right then and there, save pp save, yeah, right there, right here. So because the subsystem exists, we can essentially call TP save subsystem, and any method that exists, like, or any variable that exists within here, we can get within blueprints or within other areas of C++, we can get it from basically anywhere, which is pretty good. It's a pretty good thing to have. It's pretty useful, and it just exists throughout the entire game's lifetime. So, or while it's running at the very least. So, if, for example, we just wanted to create the slot there, so create save, or create new save data, game data, and we take the slot name, and we then open the level. So, say for example, I click on slot 2. I'm going to close this. Now, I don't know if this necessarily actually properly works yet. We're going to go into load, and there we go. This now creates data within slot 2. At the moment, clicking slot 2 doesn't seem to do anything because... Oh, wait, no, I know why. I know what's happening, because at the moment, even though save data is being created, there is no, like, default level, last saved level for, like, the first level or whatnot, or for the test level in this instance. So, because of that, if we're trying to load a level with no name, it will just not load a level at all. So, what we want to do is we want to revisit, so dismiss, close that. We want to revisit our game save data class. And we're also going to, hold on, let me just double check if I need to. I don't need to save anything within the engine, that's good. So we're going to close the engine. We're going to go into the game save data. So we're going to go into the game save data H file. And we're going to go into the game save data C++. Though now I think about it, let me think. Hold on, let me open the engine again. There's something I need to double check. There is something that I doubly need to double check. Right. Okay. So we go back into the engine. Let's see. Blueprints. Right, that doesn't help me. If I go into the player controller, so at the moment, for... Oh yeah, BP game save data, right. I just need to remember where that is. Right, so BP games, alright, it's in tools, data, game save data, right. Okay, so at the moment, player state, I think that's a default, hold on, let me double check. Oh yeah, no. A player state. That's. Oh yeah, no. I remember now. Right. Because we were trying to save the player state before. Anyway, back to where we were. So we have the cheese map with the fruit map, with the last save level, and then we have the last level name. At the moment, there is no like default or anything like that. So for example, if I were to write test level, of course this wouldn't apply to the data that we already have present in the file that we just made. But if I go into which project, which prototype, save. I go into save games, there is slot 1 and slot 2. If I delete slot 2, and I had to go into File Explorer to do this, so I was hiding things while I did that. If I go into the main menu, so we go into the main menu, so now there's no data in slot 2 and whatnot. We click slot 2. That will of course load slot 2. And now if I was to quit and ignore this error, again, I'm going to fix this at some point. If we click load, okay, that doesn't seem right. Hold on. So if I go, this might be an issue with how I've set up the save slot menu. So if I was to tools, oh wait, actually, let's try it by overwriting the save slot menu right now. Hold on. So let's go into widgets, save slot menu. So we go into, so initialize slot menu. So on save slot clicked. So and then I'll get rid of this. So TP underscore save subsystem. Create new save data. I'm gonna get selected slot name. Set that. Do that. Because how we did it before, we basically did essentially. Why is it in some things it's like Control Shift C to redo, but in other things it's Control Y, and it's kind of frustrating. So creating a new slot. So right, and now I'm gonna hide things, and I'm gonna get rid of both save slot 1 and save slot 2. So back in, go start slot 1, and that's been created. And now if we go into here, load. Okay, so this isn't working at all now. So slot button, click. So if we go onto save slot button, because this is directly tied to the save slot button itself. So if the button is clicked, so if is loading, So BP game save data. Okay, right. Okay. Right. Something that I'm trying to figure out this, and it's like so on pressed, which, you know, this is pre-construct, slot name. Yep. Then I do want to check, so print string hello. I know this is just going to be like a hello statement, but this is just making sure. I mean, it probably is working. It's just right. This is working. Right. So load game from slot. Now I have to wonder if the cast is failing. So let's do print string save game does not match data type. And we're going to find out, so if we do this, save game does not match data. Right. Okay. BP game save data. Now, I'm wondering if this is because it's no longer being, like, cast to, like, a BP in particular, and it's because it's going only through that raw class. So if we go cast to BP game save data, and instead of that, we do cast to game save data, and we set that there, and we throw that there, and we still have the cast failed just in case it doesn't work. Then we do this, load. Okay, oh, no. Apparently there was none. Right. Okay, right. So I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna say that because of how we're handling things in here now, rather than like having it be based off of like a subclass that we're like making a game save like data from. We're using like the base class itself. I'm probably going to need a constructor for this so I can set a default value. So game save data. And I'm not actually going to do anything here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to throw this here. I'm going to say... Wait, is it last level name or last saved level? Game save data. Right, it was last save level, right. So, now that I've done that, I need to quickly recompile. And then, so close, and then recompile. Right, okay. Open that. Now I'm gonna go into File Explorer, get rid of the thing again. Also, ads starting in a few minutes, chat. Just for I should let you guys know. This, of course, doesn't apply if you're watching back on the VOD, in which case, there's still going to be a break anyway, but you can kind of just skip ahead of like the 3 minutes ad break, like if that's the case. So main menu. Right, we're gonna go main menu. We're gonna do our thing first. We're gonna create a new save. Then we're gonna close. Oh wait, I forgot I was still on. Whoops, I was still on tabbed into Rider. So now we're gonna load, and voila! Because now that we've set the default within the code itself, we will just load, essentially things on the lonesome, which is good. I don't know why I'm playing through the test level. I guess I'm just doing it out of habit. Now, that's from loading things normally. What if we attempt to... Let me think. What if we attempt to do things through the subsystem? So, we go into widgets. We go into save slot menu. It will be save slot button. Go to save slot button. And on the button click, we check if it's loading. If it is, at the moment we just load game from the slot. And that's essentially what we do there. But if we do... Hold on, if I move this, I'm not going to get rid of it completely. I'm just going to move this for now. So we're going to move this. We're going to disconnect the execution pin from there. and I'm gonna have to finish this after the ad break because we're literally about to go into it soon. So I will catch you all in a good few moments, chat. Oh, wrong one. There we go. Right, we're back. Root sign. Right, so as I was saying, we were disconnecting this, and instead of doing that, we're gonna say save get TP save subsystem. We've got our subsystem right here, and we're going to load load save game, and again we're going to get slot name text. And then from the very same TP subsystem, I'm going to check if this is valid. So we're going to get... Hold on, actually. Let me go into the code. There's something I may have forgotten to do here. So that's game save data. Don't need that at the moment. In the subsystem, we've got recently accessed saved. Recently accessed save, I mean. So if we go into here, say recently, yeah, get recently accessed saved. I keep saying saved instead of just save. It's not saved, it's save. So we're getting recently accessed saved. I did it! I did it again. Recently accessed save. And then... Damn it, I need the, Right, I'm gonna get game save data's CPP. It's last save level. So we're gonna get... last save level. And we're going to open level by name. And we're going to do this instead. So rather than doing what we were doing here, we're going to use the subsystem for this instead. And while this is essentially the same as what we were doing, there's also guarantees that if this is successful, the variable for recently accessed save will be set, and we can access that during gameplay. And that will be useful for if and when we want to autosave. Or if we want to test out, you know, like, manually, like, using our little test save button in a level. Right. So, if we click load... Okay, that's concerning. That shouldn't be loading here. So, access none, trying to read property, recently accessed save, open level by name. Trying to read alright, so something's gone wrong there. Okay. So, one thing I'm missing, of course, is that, one, I should check to make sure that this is valid in the first place. So, extra checks are needed. So, is valid. So, print string. I'm gonna have to protect the print be that so we can. It's a clear message. If we load, there is apparently... Okay, what happened? Why did it do that? That's odd. So if I do... So clicking on it again for some reason just... That's odd. That's not what's supposed to happen at all. Also, I'm wondering why it's not, like, getting a recently accessed save. So, in load save game, we've got if you gameplay statics, does save game exist? At the moment, I don't have anything checking to see whether or not... So, G-engine, add on screen debug message, 0.5.0f, f color, red. Oh, that's supposed to be red F, not G. I'm not wanting it to be like 5 grams. Const F string debug message. So printf text. Oh wait, I might have done this wrong. And this is just going to say... And then the other one, we just want to say, oh hey, this doesn't exist. Although, now that I think about it, I think doing it asynchronously, because it does take time, that might be what's causing this. So, I don't think in this case I want it to asynchronously load. So, hold on, let's do this. Let's comment this out. And let's say gameplay statics load game from slot. And this does return a save game. So slot name. This takes slot name and the user index. So slot name. And of course, it's taking a moment. As you do. So you games say and then 0, and then because it's directly doing a thing now, it's actually returning something. So cast to U game save data. And I realized that overrode the U gameplay statics. There we go. And then we need the other bracket on the other side here. And then we're going to say recently accessed save. So recently accessed save equals the result of this. And then if this is successful, we want to say if recently accessed saved then we do the save game load completed dot broadcast, and then we broadcast that with true as the parameter. Right. So we're going to need to close the engine again. And, you know, it's kind of the norm with trying to make and, like, iron out a system like this where, oh, good lord, it's just gonna take a bit of time, especially because, oh, I think this is going to work, and then suddenly, oh, it's having this problem because for some reason how I chose to do this or how I've been following this actually isn't doing too well in this instance. And it's important stuff time, or important medication time. The things that help me breathe. There we go. Right. So close the engine, give it a moment, recompile the code. Right. Engine is back open. Wait, hold on. Why did I do this? Why did I do this? Maps, wherever you are. Main menu. Right, so now let's try loading. Oh, it worked. Right. Okay, cool. That one did work that time. So now let's try it with the second slot. So start, second slot. We do this. Yada yada yada. La di da di da. La di da di da. Then we load on that second slot. And there we go. It's working now. Right. At the very least, from this side, it's working. Okay? So one important thing that we need to know is that at the moment we have a proper subsystem for creating and loading, or say creating and loading from the main menu. What we need now in this very same subsystem is essentially just saving the data like during gameplay. That's what we need next. And we're essentially very close to what we're trying to get out of this, which is pretty good, because as far as I'm aware, or as far as I'm concerned, I say as far as I'm aware, more like as far as I know, as far as I am very much concerned, one of the most important things you can do when you're working on the game is that if you have a save system of any kind, and it is a very likely chance that you do, unless you're a crazy person and you're making a kind of game that doesn't have a save system or doesn't have any kind of persistence at all. I don't know what kind of game you'd be making at that point, but if you are, by all means, go off. Then it's important to work out the overall structure and how you're going to go about like saving data, like the type of data you're saving, like how much of it is saved, how many save slots you have, and so on and so forth. It's very much important to work out the structure of the system, because you're essentially building so much else around it going forward. So it's vital that you have that hammered in, because you can't. It's not exactly a good thing if you're doing this and then halfway through development you're like, oh, let's rework the save system in its entirety, and now we're going to have to go through a whole bunch of like objects within the code and be like, oh, we don't want this on this system anymore, let's move it over to the new one, and you're having to adjust so many different things. It's not ideal. So it's important that we get this done now, rather than, oh, we're getting very far into working on the prototype or working on the project as a whole, and then I decide, oh, now we're going to make the save system. This is... it wouldn't be good. It would be very irresponsible. It's very irresponsible. So it's good that I'm getting this done now, and I'm pretty happy that this is going pretty well. And because of how easily you can access subsystems, like within like Blueprint or C++, it makes it very ideal for this purpose. So I just, it's difficult for me to express how good this is. Anyway, we're gonna go back into Rider. We're going to close the engine again. So at the moment, going through everything, we have the initialize, which of course that allows the subsystem to initialize in the first place. We have the create new save data, which is used when we're creating new save either from a fresh slot or when we're overwriting saves. We have load save game, which of course we use to essentially say, oh, we're checking if a thing exists, if we have data that exists. And then we're going to say, oh, the save that we recently accessed? Yeah, we're going to basically just set that to whatever slot we just loaded in, or whatever slot we're just loading in, and then after that we load the level that we were last in. And then we have methods that are called from the delegate when the saving and loading is completed, though at the moment this isn't being used because we're not loading asynchronously. So, I mean, perhaps with handle load save game completed with the asynchronous stuff, perhaps here in this instance I would say, oh hey, let's load the level and so on and so forth. Maybe we can restructure it to do that, perhaps, but we'll look into that in a bit. Now what we need is that we need to actually have a method for saving our game during gameplay, which we don't have at the moment. I won't... Alright, go ahead. Sorry. At the moment, because we're building this system, we're building this subsystem, I'm not going to immediately drop absolutely everything that I had considered into the method at the moment, because we don't know if, like, of a good way to pass all of the data that we need to pass into it. So oh, sorry. What would be good is to do this basically in stages. We do this in stages. We make sure that the absolute bare minimum works, that it is saving to a slot, and the way that I would be able to tell if this works is whether or not the time for when date and time for when a file was last modified in Windows changes to when we save it within the gameplay. So that would be a good good way to check whether or not it is functioning as intended. Once we do that, I don't know how we manage to like pass like player data and so on into the subsystem. There's probably a way of doing this. There's definitely a way of doing this, and I'd probably have to look into it as well. I'd probably have to ask around, because there's definitely people who know a lot more about this than I do. I'm going to level with you, chat and people watching things back. I've only looked into like all the subsystem stuff within the past week or so, so I'm not too much of an expert on it. But I have the strong feeling that I can, like, I'm getting used to how this is all sort of like functioning and panning out. It's looking like a very flexible, robust kind of system that, in all true honesty, could be expanded very easily. It can be built upon very easily if I needed it to. But at the moment, it's still kind of early days with... sorry. It's still kind of early days with using subsystems, so I am not by any means an expert. I am no master of using subsystems or anything like that. Like, I am not, like, the absolute expert. Right. Okay, so thinking a moment. So I want this blueprint callable as well. So this is going to be U function. So blueprint callable, in case we ever need it to be blueprint callable or called from blueprint. This is also going to be category save system. This is going to be void save game. And oh wait, I just realized I need the F string for the slot name. Why did I do that? F string slot name. So F string slot name. So okay, so if we go back to save the game, we check in here, we check whether or not the save game does exist. So we definitely want to do this. And then we go, so if, so it's going to be a U save game. Right, no, U game save data. We're going to go straight to the class that we're using for this. So make it a pointer, game data. Let's say if U gameplay statics does save game exist, we're going to use the slot name. And we're going to do the user index of 0, because we only have one player in this game. Game data equals U gameplay statics, and I believe, yeah, we load game from slot. So U gameplay statics, load game from slot, and we get the slot name, and then we get the user index 0, and then we have to cast this to the type, so cast, throw that in there, and then we just need to say U game save data. Right, so game data is set to that. Otherwise, we just want to return because we don't want to do anything else. So, because we're not trying to like create a new save data that exists like in this, unless we do. I don't know. I'll decide later if it would be better to do that. But we're going to do that, and then if game data equals null pointer, oh wait, whoops, null pointer, then return, because if this doesn't, you know, actually exist, then we don't want to do anything else, otherwise we're essentially accessing a null object, and it will just cause issues. So, you know, we're just gonna, right. So yes, we don't want to do anything else if the game's data is null. So if it is not null at the moment, in here, we just save everything and then we save the game to slot. So to do save necessary player data, and then view gameplay statics, save game to slot, or we could do async. But now we'll do save game to slot, and then we can do async stuff later. So save game to slot, so slot name, 0, oh wait, whoops. So game data, slot name, and then user index of 0, right. Now, at the moment, if we go into the player into the player controller, we have our save the game. However, I don't want to do this anymore. So if I do this now, Okay. Thinking about it for a moment. So we still don't have like a slot name on the game data. Hold on, that's kind of silly of me. Okay, right. So I'm gonna go into game save data.h, and at the moment is it's f string. So we need an f string. And because I'm not using that anymore, we don't need that. So view property edit anywhere read write. So f string, and this is just going to be slot name. This is going to be slot name within the game save data because we do need the slot name. And then I also want a public, a U function. I don't know if you can actually no, wait, no, you can define a constructor, so I'm assuming you can define, but if not, then, Actually, I don't think I want this to be, never mind. So if we go into save subsystem, and we go into create new save data, now I need to double check stuff with the thing I was following, because it's remembering whether or not they actually like set any default values for the save slot. Oh yeah, no, they did, right. Okay, so in here, right here, if recently accessed saved is successful when we're creating the save slot, I'm gonna say recently accessed saved slot name equals slot name. And that is one of the more important parts of it. So now we come back here because there is stuff that we need to do in here. Okay, so as I said, we should be able to get the TP save subsystem within the code as well. So UTP underscore save subsystem. And save game. And what it needs is a slot name, so we get UTP save subsystem recently accessed save slot name. Call to non-static member function. Hold on. Right, so if I look at the player controller, yep, I'm already in the player. I'm sorry, chat. My brain's a little. So I wonder if it's you, local player, get subsystem. Right, I wonder. So you, local player, get subsystem. UTP, I'm just going to say subsystem. Does this work with this? Expression result is not used. Okay, right. So this actually might work. Right. Okay, I'm a bit confused. I am probably gonna have to look at a video on YouTube for this as well. Should probably look at this on my phone as well, rather than trying to look at it at the same time as the music playing on my PC. Where is it? There we go. Okay, right, so you TP save subsystem pointer subsystem equals get game instance get subsystem type UTP underscore save subsystem. Right. If save subsystem. Right. I think this is how it's supposed to work. So if save subsystem, then save subsystem, save game, and then we get save subsystem, recently accessed save, slot name. Right. I should probably also have a UE install log temp warning text. And I'm just going to say subsystem found, save it. Right. Now we're going to compile this and see if this works. And hopefully there shouldn't be any problems, because, yeah. Now we're gonna. Oh wait, I should switch over. Right, now we're gonna see if this actually does work. So as soon as I access and I'm trying to. It's right. It's whenever I click start. It's whenever I click start the first time around. Okay, so according to the output log, it is saving. So if I look in File Explorer... Okay, yeah, no, that is working. That did... Right, so saving during gameplay works. However, the next thing we need to actually be able to do is save the data that we need to save. So if we go into Clip Studio, and I'm going to make another new canvas to doodle on or write stuff on and whatnot. Gosh. Ooh. Anyway, as I was saying, so at the moment, or in the system that we were using before, hello. So in the system that we were using before, in terms of how we were saving the data, we were doing as I, yeah. There we go. That's better. From the player controller, we were taking from the player controller. We were taking the collectible maps for both cheese and fruit. The last level name, and so on, and we were saving that to the game data. That's what we were doing before. Now, changing how we're, like, properly saving and loading stuff with using the subsystem also means that how we're passing data from like places where we need it to be or where we're storing data may need to change. So I'm a bit stumped. Because ideally, we want to have the subsystem taking the necessary data. So, necessary data. So we take the necessary data, such as like the collectibles we found, the level we're currently in, percentage completion while we're at it and whatnot, and then we add it to the save data and whatnot, or the game data, as we illustrated up there. That's what we want, ideally, the subsystem to do. But how we get it there, I have no idea. I have no idea how we're going to get it in there. I don't know if that means we store, like all the data that we need for, say, for example, our collectibles and so on that subsystem. I'm not entirely sure what that means for that now. So... Right, so... I'm gonna ask in one or two places. See if I get a response back, and then we'll debate it while I wait, or I'll try and debate it while just a few moments. But yeah, I don't know how I'm going to do this next bit. This is a bit of a concern. Oh, good lord. I will say, though, the past few days have definitely been exhausting, especially with, like, the whole going to the Pokemon Center, walking around for God knows how long on Friday, work over the weekend, things being busy, some slight mishaps with, like, diabetes and the blood sugars and whatnot, and those kind of fluctuating, especially with some changes that have been made in my life recently, and so on and so forth. It's taken a lot out of me, but I'm hoping that things ease into the coming week a lot better. It would be nice, though there's never a guarantee. At the very least, I'm happy that so while like when I originally attempted the Sundered Doctrine dungeon race when they released that a few weeks ago, at the same time this was something that I wasn't aware of because I'm not on the platform I'm about to mention. But PlayStation Network had a terrible outage issue whilst that was ongoing for about 24 hours or so. People on PlayStation were just unable to hop on to like any game whatsoever, including Destiny 2, to be able to like log on and play and do the dungeon race and try the contest mode and whatnot. Um, so in a very based kind of move, Bungie decided, oh hey, we understand that a lot of people were affected by the outages of the PlayStation Network. So at a later date, we're going to rerun contest mode to give people who missed out a chance to try for that. And this will be on all platforms. So even if you weren't on PlayStation, you still have another chance at it. It was yesterday until today that they decided to run it, because they weren't going to run it for another 3 days. They were only running it for 24 hours. But I gave it the go, and this time around I actually managed to do it. I finally actually got an honest-to-God contest mode clear, even though it was like, oh, it's been like 2 weeks and there's been time to prepare, compared to like the very short notice, we must get everything ready before the Friday kind of thing. But like, prep time aside, I'm happy that I finally managed to do it. It felt pretty good to actually get it all done on contest mode and do all the things, and it was pretty cool. I don't know if that necessarily like speaks for anything going forward with other like Destiny 2 contest modes and whatnot, but maybe I feel a bit better about trying to do that kind of stuff now. So yeah, if and when like another contest mode happens, which will probably be when like new expansions and stuff come out, then I'll probably give it another good try. I'll definitely try and give it another good try with that kind of stuff again. Who knows? But yeah, that was cool. That was great. I don't know if I actually properly talked about like getting. I did it on contest mode. Blah blah blah. Yeah. No, but it was good to actually properly do it. It was great. And I have the exotic now, so like the exotic was a guarantee from beating it on contest mode. So I'm not left out of the people with the linear club for like God knows how long. I did the guard, honestly, not fucking bad, considering the fact that like even with people we know who have done it before, it normally takes a good few tries. That's fucking good. But yeah, no. Good stuff. Good stuff. Also, I didn't say, ad break starts in about 40 seconds. I should have been keeping an eye on that, but I was rambling and rambling away. I don't know if I've actually gotten any, like... No, I haven't yet. Unless I'm not checking the right channel in the server that I asked in about, like, how I would go about, like, getting this data into the right place. Right. I'm gonna take a bit of a moment to do that while the ad break runs. I will see you all in a few minutes. Alright, and we're back. Right, nothing on that, question I asked in that one server, which is not good. So, I'm not sure what to do in terms of, like... I think... I'm gonna quickly double check where I can actually properly see things. So if I right, I'm not sure. It's just getting the actual data now, which is the problem. Right. God, I wish I could think, but it's boggling my mind to no end. Like, good lord. Like, it's boggling my mind to absolutely no end. It's crazy. Right, so if we go back into the code, we'll look through the code a little bit. So, if we go back to how we used to handle saving the game, like when we weren't using the subsystem but just doing it from the player controller, we check if the save game data did exist. If it did exist, then we just load from the slot. Otherwise, we create a new save game object. We cast it to the type that we needed it to be. If it wasn't that matching type, then we just didn't do anything else, we returned. We saved the player state. Although that wasn't really helpful originally. But then we take the cheese map stored within the player state and the fruit map stored in the player state. Now, I have to wonder... let's think. There was something I had. There was a thought I just had, and now, like, it's either gone or I'm having doubts about it. Like, it could work, but right. Okay. So load the game, save the game. So the only thing I can properly think about is finding any objects that, you know, need to save, need to load. It might... Oh, whoops. I closed Rider. Whoops. It might work. Maybe. Right. So, thought I had. Might work. Crazy, but it might work. So, if I refresh my memory, there's blueprint assignable, there's blueprint callable. So, save game loaded, save game created. I think I also want another multicast delegate here too. Right, so now's no longer the time of following, like, the resources to help. Now is the time to try and experiment a little bit. So declare dynamic multicast delegate. I say maybe 1 param, or you can make it a no param. I'm not sure. So F save subsystem save game save started. And then underneath here, we'll make it another U property. May as well copy this macro, or the parameters for this macro, over. So we're going to say F save subsystem save game save started. We're going to say save game save started. That's what this is going to be called. Where is... yeah. Gonna say save game save started dot broadcast true. So there's something crazy that I want to try, and that is... And that is, where is... TP install, or TP player state. TP player state, that is the one. So I'll get the... So player... Get the player state H file, and then we also need the CPP. Close the player controller for now. I'll also close collectible base because I don't need that open, and I'll close game save data. Right. At the moment, so in player state, like replicate props, no collectible my map, or low collectible map, add collectible 2 map, set current lives. So ATP player state. Now. Wait, something tells me that... Something tells me I would need to get begin play. So begin play, override, generate definition, need the super there just for it to work. So my crazy idea. So we're gonna need a UTP save subsystem pointer save subsystem. Equals get game instance get subsystem of type UTP save subsystem. I'm trying to remember. Wait, where is player controller? Ah, come on. Where did I put you? Wait, player controller is there at the very least. Oh yeah, it was literally that. Cool. If save subsystem, then save subsystem, save game, save started, dots, wait, so alright, I'm trying to remember how to bind a... Right, bind to mul... B++ delegates for Unreal in 5 minutes. I'm gonna have to quickly look at this now too. Okay, so at the right. Okay, right. I think I know now. Right, or I think I. Well, I say I think I know. More like I think I remember. At the same time, I don't think this needs to be a 1 per RAM. This just needs to be a no per RAM. So. Right, so this will just be declared dynamic multitask delegate. And then we don't need this, we just have it be empty. So save game subsystem. We on this side of things, we do need a function here as well. So U function. So void on save started. And at the moment, this won't do anything. Why is it an inline void? I don't want it to be an inline void. I want it to be a void. Gross. So now we want save subsystem. Save game save started dot add dynamic. And we want to add this and then ATP player stay on save started. Cool. Right. So at the moment, this won't do anything. I'm going to say UE underscore log temp warning text saving game. Oh, whoops. Now this may not be ideal. I'm not entirely sure myself, but This is just us experimenting and messing around. Right. Okay, so... So, I'm going here. Oh wait, I forgot to switch back to the engine. Hold on. Right, I'm gonna go in here. I'm gonna press R2. Okay, that crashed the engine. So, a string. Player controller, CPP 181. Okay. Send and restart. Okay. So in player controller, CPP 181. Wait, but that was working before. Hold on. Or is it because... Oh, wait, no, it's because I don't have the... Yep, no, that makes sense. Okay, so saving game started works there, which is good. Which means... Oh wait, I forgot to... Let's see. Anyway, but that means, since that, since this text is being printed out, that means this is being bound successfully, which is good. So... Okay, my brain. The next thing I'm thinking, I think I might know how to circumvent. Right. So save subsystem. I'll need another method. I'll need another function to add here. So in the protected section, view function, void on date save loaded, on save game loaded, or on save game load, or loaded probably works better. So on save game loaded. Oh wait, this needs to accept a parameter, so bool be success because of the multicast. Otherwise we won't be able to bind it. So what I'm hoping to do here is say add dynamic, this save game loaded, and then crazy thing I'm gonna try, this may not be good, load save game. And now so UE underscore, we're also going to test this with a log. So UE underscore log temp warning text. Right. Oh, wait, I realize the engine's still open. Hold on. So project settings. Or is it preference? No, it's preferences in the. I need to close the engine. I forgot to close the engine before I did this. The engine. Right, the engine's open. Good. Right, so I know not to use this level. start. Override. Now, did this... Yeah, that did it. Right. Okay. Oh, right. So that's things for the most part sorted out. I think, because I'm feeling a little bit tired, I'm going to call things there for today. So to everyone who showed up and everyone watching things back, whether it's here on Twitch or on YouTube, depending on when you're watching this, thank you ever so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. We got quite a bit done with the save stuff, and I know there were like times where I had to like take a few moments to sort of think about things, but this was kind of a lot for me to sort of go through. A lot to sort of restructure and rework and try and figure out how is this going to work. So honestly, I feel like we did pretty well today. Next stream will be tomorrow. The new Fortnite season started, like within the past few days, and I am going to be streaming that because I may as well. I do always enjoy like when a new season starts, just taking a look at things on stream. So I'm going to be doing that tomorrow. But yes, again, thank you so much for being here, and as always,